Hello bookworms! Today I'm going to be doing another wrap-up video for you. I have the next 5 books that I have read, and I still don't know what wrap-up number I'm up to, so I'll get it together one day. But anyway, these are the books that I have read most recently. And actually, once I finish filming this one, I will officially be caught up, and then I can do more timely wrap-ups, which I'm very excited about. So the first book that I read is Dead Witch Walking by Kim Harrison, and it follows a girl named Rachel who is a witch, and she works for this agency. She ends up deciding that she wants to leave and kind of break out on her own because she's really just not getting the cases that she wants. Along with her, her friend Ivy, who's a vampire, leaves, and Jenks, who is a pixie. And the 3 of them start this agency. They move into this like really cool haunted looking church, and that's where they kind of set up camp. But the previous agency that they worked for is not happy that they left, so there's a price on Rachel's head. She's constantly trying to get away from danger because just disaster keeps following her everywhere, and she thinks that a way for her to pay her debt and to get the price off of her head is to solve this one really big case. So she kind of latches on to the notion that there's this very wealthy man who is doing some very not good things within the town, and she spends a lot of the book investigating him and trying to pin him for this one thing that he's doing. And it's really, really good. I was not expecting to enjoy this one as much as I did. I was hoping that I would, but I just didn't know, and there are so many of them, so I'm really looking forward to being able to read more of them. But this is an urban fantasy novel. It's an adult novel, and I thought that it was really well done, and I really, really liked the characters a lot. I'm definitely looking forward to reading the second one, which I'm hoping to do very, very soon. I actually currently have it on my night table. I'm just very happy because I really wanted to like get into an urban fantasy series, because the last one that I read was the Sookie Stackhouse series like so many years ago, and I really loved it, but I just never got into any others. So now I feel like there's this whole new world of reading that I've opened myself up to, and I'm really excited about it. And I ended up giving Dead Witch Walking 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read It's Your Universe by Ashley Eckstein. It's illustrated by Ashley Taylor. So for those who don't know, Ashley Eckstein is the head designer of Her Universe. She started the clothing brand that makes Star Wars clothes and other fandom clothes for fangirls, pretty much. And she does some exciting things so that it's not just graphic t-shirts. Actually, the shirt that I'm wearing right now is from her Han Solo collection from when the Solo movie was coming out. But I just really admire Ashley because she's such a positive person, and she's so sweet, and she really has worked extremely hard to make her brand what it is and to get to where she is today. She's also the voice actress on the Clone Wars for Ahsoka, who is my favorite character on that show. So I was really looking forward to reading her book, and I will say that this is a very good read for a younger audience. While I definitely agree with her overall positive attitude and like going and doing whatever it is that you need to do in order to reach your goal, I felt like I didn't connect with it in the way that I was expecting to. I do really like how she related everything back to Disney or Star Wars. It was like a very Disney-ified story, and it's all about her and her life and how she got to where she is. So it's really hard to like give a rating to a story that is about someone else's life. So I feel like I can't really give this one a rating. I really did enjoy it. It was a very quick read. I really loved the artwork within it, and I thought that it was very inspiring. But again, I think it just would read better for a younger audience. Then I read Scream All Night by Derek Millman, and I had been really looking forward to reading this one because I love like scary stories and stuff, and I have to say that I was kind of disappointed because I was really expecting this one to have more horror elements. This is a contemporary book, but it takes place in a horror setting, but it's really like a coming of age novel, and there's nothing spooky that happens. There are some very weird out there things that happen, and I felt like it did a really good job of touching upon a lot of things that horror fans do enjoy, but it never by any means was a horror story. I think what I liked most about this book was the setting, that it all took place in Moldovia Castle, which is the place where our main character's father built this like cult following film empire, and the company's kind of crumbling. The son actually emancipated himself, and he is being invited back to Moldovia for his father's living funeral because his father is still alive, but he's kind of going, so he wants to have this funeral, be at his funeral, and get buried alive. That was his like dream, which yeah. Anyway, so I thought that the setting was really cool. I thought that it was really fun to hear about the different films that the company had made, but overall I didn't really connect with any of the characters, and I just didn't really like love the story because I think that I just wanted it to be something that it wasn't. So it was still enjoyable and I read it very quickly, but I just didn't love it. Like, it was an okay read for me, and I gave this one 3 out of 5 stars. Those are always the hardest ones for me to talk about because it's like, well, I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. So it's just kind of like a middle of the road read for me. Then I read Ahsoka by E.K. Johnston, and as I said, Ashley Eckstein, who's the author of the other book, she actually plays this character on Clone Wars. She voices her. So this one I actually kind of went back and forth between reading the physical book and listening to the audiobook because the audiobook is actually narrated by Ashley Eckstein, and I'm just so used to hearing her as Ahsoka, so it was really nice to listen to her telling the story. This is a young adult read, and I definitely agree that it read on the younger side. I thought that this was like a very necessary piece of the puzzle because if you've watched Clone Wars, you don't really know what happens with Ahsoka's character after a certain point. Although hopefully we're gonna get more now that the show has gotten renewed for the final season, because it got like really interesting in the last season and then it just got canceled, which was so sad. So overall, I found this book to be enjoyable, but it wasn't my favorite Star Wars book that I've read so far. Like I said, I think it was really good to see some other things that Ahsoka had done since the events of the Clone Wars, and I'm really looking forward to watching Rebels now that I've read this. And I ended up giving this one like 3.5 or 4 stars out of 5. Probably 3.5. And then the last book that I have to talk about is my most recent read, and that is Red Sister by Mark Lawrence. This is an adult fantasy novel, and it follows a girl named Nona who gets taken into this convent by Abbess Glass, and she is being trained and she's being raised to be a killer, and it was a really interesting read. I'm really glad that I read this one. I've been wanting to get to it for so long, and Grey Sister is already out, so I'm looking forward to reading that one too. But I will say that beginning like half of the book was a lot of info dump. We did get some flashbacks to show like how Nona got into certain situations, which I thought was interesting, but it was just like a lot of information. But then the second half of the book, it really picked up. The action like got really good and things got really intense, and I really liked seeing Nona like in classes and interacting with other girls within the school, particularly Clara and Hessa. I thought that the dynamic between all of them was really interesting, and I love the way that Nona interprets the world. The ending had me like on the edge of my seat, and I'm so interested to see where it's gonna go from here. I was so just blown away by the ending, and that really like tipped the scale for me, and I ended up giving this one 4 out of 5 stars. So those are all of the books that I have to talk about in this wrap up, and I am now officially caught up, which is so exciting. Let me know if you read any of the books that I talked about, and I will see you guys soon in a new video. Bye!